Hey fam, today we're going to be doing a look that is very special to me personally because it is a collaboration between a fellow artist. Now, if you guys remember back in the day when this kind of thing happened, this thing being me, there was this thing that artists would do and it's called collaborating. Whoa, what is collaborating? Back in the day, smaller artists would collaborate with other artists to gain recognition in the pool of makeup artists on Instagram as well as YouTube. And it was just like a fun way to pick a theme and make your own look according to whatever that theme may be. So the artist, of course, that I am collaborating with, her name is Julie. She's so sweet. Her Instagram handle is jojo_face, and she's absolutely so talented. It's uncanny, and you know, I love her. She's been nothing but kind to me, and those are the people I want to surround myself with and collaborate with. So we did a collaboration together. Our collaboration was centered around the video game called Alice Madness Returns. A lot of you probably heard of it. If you haven't, it's literally like my face right now. The look that I chose to do is based on an unlockable outfit that Alice could wear during the game called the FleshMaiden dress. It's obviously not an exact replica, but if you are a fan of the game, you would probably see it and be like, oh my god. And if you're not a fan of the game, I'm sure it's pretty cool to look at the same time. Now that that's all said and done, we can begin this video. I have an avocado stain on my shirt, and I don't know if avocado stains. Does it stain? I really hope it doesn't stain. I really like this outfit. I just reviewed some of the footage and the audio. There are so many tongue pops happening. I am so sorry. You're not gonna see them, but I'm so sorry on behalf of myself to myself. I'm starting off with some liquid latex, and I'm placing that down as an anchor, as opposed to using like ProColoRing or something like that, because I feel like this would be easier to remove. If you want longevity, I would use ProColoRing because it's stronger and it'll stay longer. Some of you might see this as familiar. This is from one of my other looks, the Tranimal workshop, and I'm just repurposing it. It's a pantyhose with polyfill like stuffed inside it, and once the latex dried, I stuck that to my body, and I made sure that there was latex on the actual polyfill hose as well. The placement was also strategic in a way because I wanted more level. I needed a higher kind of like range. I don't know what I'm saying, but I crisscrossed them so that I would have that like overlap, you know? I am mixing liquid latex and acrylic paint. Do not be dumb. Don't use toxic acrylic paint. They do sell non-toxic acrylic paint. You know, you're putting this close enough to your skin, and I put it on my skin. So you need to be safe with that kind of stuff. The reason why I did this was to make the painting process easier because it's a lot of surface area to cover. I'm doing the cotton and latex technique, but instead of cotton, I'm using polyfill, which is also inside the pantyhose. And it kind of gives a more fibrous look to it, which I really liked. And if you saturate the latex with the polyfill, it turns into this like stringy, fibrous, manipulative, prosthetic material. Honestly, me. There's no particular technique that I went with, but I did use a reference picture. If you think about like flesh and like this type of stuff, it is multi-layered. There's big pieces, there's small pieces, there's flat pieces, there's fibrous, there's sporadic. That's kind of like what I went for. I did use as much of the dress-esque as I could, but I mean, it doesn't really matter if you're placing all this stuff on you, but it made a really cool effect. This little eyepiece is made of polymorph plastic. It's basically this plastic stuff you can put in boiling water and you can manipulate it and shape it the way you want. I made the eyeball and then the heart separate. And then I'm just like placing that inside the area where I guess the heart would be. Is that my left side? No, it's my right, but it looks like my left. So let's just pretend that it's there. And then I followed the same technique over my face as well as my head. The dress and the costume doesn't have that, but I wanted to add my own little element to it, you know? Plus I don't have hair, so I can do whatever I want. So you're gonna let this dry, you know, have some tea, watch Grey's Anatomy, you know, the huge, because it does take a while to dry within the layers and stuff. But once it's dry, it's on, okay? And then we can paint. With this look, I also wanted to show you that you don't always have to use alcohol-based paints in order to achieve that like bloody, like realistic look. I'm taking the Mehron Paradise Makeup AQ 30 color assortment palette. So you have everything you need in this palette. I'm taking Beachberry, which is the red tone, which is going to be like the irritation base tone to the flesh. Now I'm going in with the Mehron Bruise wheel, and that's going to be more of the irritation, except it's going to be on the smaller pieces, like around my face and my head, as well as this side of my body, girl. Not this side, this side. It's the same type of red tone that's going to look like the irritation. That's what I'm going for. I also put it on my lips, as well as bringing it up on my nose, almost like I'm sick and I have a runny nose and it's irritated. Like that. So this is of course a layering process. If you want to get like more bang for your buck and you want it to look more realistic, you're going to need to add like layers and layers of color. So from lightest to darkest. I'm taking the Paradise color in red, and this one is more of a deep burgundy, like blood tone. So this is going to be like the bloody tones of the body and the face and of this layering process. So I took that on a smaller brush so I wasn't covering as much surface area. You don't want to just go over everything. It's just gonna like defeat the purpose of the layering and just the diffusion of the product. It's meant to be placed strategically where you want it to look more deep and have more depth. I started filling in the eye, but now I'm actually filling in the rest of the eye. I'm using the red body paint as well as a black now, and I'm mixing those two to come up with a more aged blood looking tone, where I can add that depth all over and everything's just gonna come together and look more three-dimensional as opposed to being a little two-dimensional. As it plays out, you can actually see the difference visually as I speed through the process, which is pretty cool. I took a smaller brush now for my face area, and I just went in with those two colors, the red and the black, to create more of the aged blood, deep red beauty of blood, I guess. How can blood be beautiful? I think blood's beautiful. Everyone's beautiful. What? So I had to pause because I couldn't really reach myself and film at the same time. It would have just been blocking. So I had to finish the rest of the head off camera. And what I did was I took that same buffing brush from the first application and I applied that all over the face, almost like I am kind of like diffusing everything in and creating one whole piece. I'm taking that bruise wheel again, and I'm going in with Bloody Rose and Burnt Maroon, which is the maroon shade right here. I mixed the two, and I applied that as my eyeshadow, and taking Midnight Sky, which is this dark blue black shade, and I'm kind of doing the same look I did today. I intentionally did this eyeshadow look for this live tutorial. And of course I took a black eyeshadow and I just set that completely. I did my brows off camera. As you can see, I'm going in with a white liquid liner to add the highlights. I wanted it to look a little more cartoony and video game-esque because it would look too real and y'all would be too scared. And this is the completed look, the Alice Madness Returns FleshMaiden dress. Yes, with a twist of, I guess, Sasha Velour, but whatever.